Good morning, and today we'll be looking at quadratic inequations. We've already looked at solving quadratic equations, so we're going to be looking at something very similar to a quadratic equation, but it's an inequality sign that we have, and we treat it a little bit differently. So the best way to solve a quadratic inequality is by making a sketch of the parabola. So we need to know the shape of the parabola, whether it's a U shape or an upside down U shape. That's what concave up or concave down means. We need to know where it crosses the x-axis intercepts. And then we can look at the sketch of the graph with the x-axis intercepts marked in, and we can solve it through inspection. So here we have the same quadratic. For part A, it's x squared plus x minus 12, and it's less than 0. And for part B, it's x squared plus x minus 12 greater than 0. Now all that means is, for the first one, where is the graph below the x-axis? That's what less than 0 means. And for B, where is the graph above the x-axis? And that's what greater than 0 means. So first of all, we want to identify the shape of the parabola. It's a positive x squared. And remember, a positive x squared means it's a happy graph. So it will be a U shape. We always look at the x squared coefficient to see if it's positive or negative. Okay, and there's nothing in front of the x squared, so we know it's a positive 1. Now we need to work out where it crosses the x-axis, so we're working out the roots of the equation. We're solving it to work out where it crosses the x-axis. So we're actually going to look at the quadratic function and make it equal to 0 to help us to solve it. So we always factorise when we try to solve a quadratic, and that leads to the two brackets x plus 4 and x minus 3. We make both of those brackets equal to 0, and then x equals minus 4 or x equals 3. So that's where it crosses the x-axis, and it is a U shape. So we're going to sketch it. Now this is quite a specific diagram here with a graph on it. We've got the y-axis drawn and so on, but all we really need is the x-axis with the points -4 and 3 marked on, and then the correct shape of the graph. Don't need to know any other points, don't need to know where it crosses the y-axis or anything like that. Just these 2 points here, and that it's a U shape. Okay, so let's now look at solving A. We're going to solve A by inspection of this. For A, it's where is the graph less than 0? Where is the graph below the x-axis? So to see where it is below the x-axis, we're looking at that section of the graph there, between the -4 and the 3. So if x is between -4 and 3, you simply write x in the middle of -4 and 3 and make it sure that the numbers are in numerical order. So x is between -4 and 3. Now to get the inequality signs, they both go in the same direction when your x is in the middle of the two numbers. And sometimes to get the direction, you can look at the one on the right hand side. X is less than 3, so -4 is less than x. They both have to go in the same direction. They would never be going in different directions, okay? And then to do part B, which is where is the graph above the x-axis. So if we now look for where is the graph greater than 0, that just simply means above the x-axis. So we can see now it's above the x-axis out with, I'll just put that back a little bit, let you see the graph. So it's above the x-axis here, which is to the left of -4 and to the right of 3. To the left of -4 and to the right of 3. So x is above the x-axis where it's less than -4 and where it's greater than 3. And that's going to come up just there. So where x is less than -4 or greater than 3. Less than -4 or greater than 3. Okay, so we must have a sketch with the shape of the graph, with the x-axis and the x-coordinates marked on it. And then we literally look to see whether it's above or below. If it's supposed to be greater than, it's above. If it's supposed to be less than 0, it is below. Okay, and that's just a little note to remind you of that. So if asked when a quadratic is less than 0, look to see where the graph is below the x-axis. If greater than 0, look to see where the graph is above the x-axis. If in the original inequality that you're given, If it's a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, then we use those signs with the equal part in the answer as well. Okay? And that's us. So that's how you solve a quadratic inequation. So remember, sketch a graph, see what the shape of the graph is, find the x coordinates, the roots of the equation, sketch a graph, and then look literally to see whether it's above or below, depending on what you're being asked. So we're now going to look at exercise 8F, okay? And remember to ask your teacher for help. And as always, good luck and take care.